after this semester, you want me to? Find another one.
Find another one? Really?
Yeah. You want me to? Because you're good. Okay. You're getting it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're getting it on your real project.
Yeah.
On
Do you want me to interrupt them? Because we're about to
Sorry.
start.
Yeah.
Really important planning happening. Well, hello. Welcome to those of us in the room, those of us joining via live stream. Welcome to Southern New Hampshire University's new College for Engineering, Technology, and Aeronautics, or what we lovingly call CETA. I want to thank you all for being here today, and for those of you who have taken time out of your day to join us in the live stream. The goal of the day today is just to introduce you to our faculty, staff, university administration, as well as some of our students, and share kind of what we're doing here at CETA, what our goals are for the college, and our work to close the STEM gap, and how we're creating kind of one-on-one, hands-on learning experiences for our students here. So brief run through of how we'll kind of run the day. We'll start with introductions from those for the folks around the room who are, again, our faculty, staff, and students. And then we'll do a few questions. I'll throw some out to the group, and then we'll open it up to questions from those around the room. And then we'll finish up in here, and our media friends who are here in person, we'll take you on some tours around the building, and then open it up for one-on-one interviews with anybody who's here speaking today is available for one-on-one. So if you don't mind, I'll just start, but we'll start with you on that side, and we'll start with just some brief introductions. Yeah, we'll move that mic over for you.
My name is Go Kim. I am the chair of computer science department, and I have been with Daniel College, the previous institution, for the last 12 years, and this is my first year at CETA.
Yeah, perfect.
Karaman Jumaini. I'm chairman of the engineering department. I recently joined SNHU last May. So, working on building CETA.
Hi everybody, my name is Yan Shang. I'm the dean of the CETA. I'm on board last month, and it's been nice to work for CETA. So.
Jim Smith, I'm the Executive Vice President for the College of Engineering, Technology, and Aeronautics. And I'll be back with you for some more comments after introductions.
Hello, I'm Gaynell Swan. I'm the Associate Dean of Academics here at CETA, and I am just excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Angie Foss, the Associate Dean of Operations and Innovation. Fun stuff, and we make loud noise with the sound. And I've been working at SNHU for 3 years. I previously worked for our College of Online and Continuing Education.
My name is Brian Aja. My fancy title is that I'm a student here. I'm an aeronautical engineering student here at SNHU.
I'm also a student here. My name is Karen Racer, and I was also previously at University.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm going to send this mic back around to Jim, who will give us, Jim, if you could just tell us a little bit more about what our goals are here with the college.
Well, I think most of you know that Southern New Hampshire University is known as one of the most innovative universities in the country, and CETA really is the latest incarnation of that innovation. A little history, it goes back a little over a year ago when Daniel Webster, parent company ITT, declared bankruptcy, and we had a college full of students with no hope and no options. To its great credit, Southern New Hampshire University went down to see what they could do for those students. That was the plea from the Department of Education to our president, Paul LeBlanc. So we did that and realized that we could create a pathway for the Daniel Webster students to have a future. Otherwise, their records and everything would still be held in bankruptcy court. That initiated a 3-phase process, and you're sitting here in the middle of phase 2. The first phase was a teach-out of the existing senior class at Daniel Webster, and we graduated 36 in December and 137 in May, and that became the last graduating class from Daniel Webster. While we were doing that, we were in the business of taking this building, which 6 months ago was a rusty warehouse, and transforming it into what you will see in the tour today of world-class labs and facilities to teach engineering and aeronautics. Phase 3, which you'll see posters outside, is we're now in the process of the final design for a new facility which we'll move into in August of 2019. All in all, Southern New Hampshire University will invest $50 million into this college and the future of young people in STEM, engineering, and aeronautics. While we were doing those three things, we were pulling together a world-class faculty. And as you see around the table, it's a faculty that represents the world that these students are going to go out into. Starting with our Dean of Academics, Yin Zhang, who has a world-class CV. She comes to us from the University of Beijing's University of Aeronautics and Astronautics. Ghanem El-Jamali, the department chair of engineering, was a NASA scientist, his PhD from New Mexico in optical science. Dr. Bo Kim, obviously a PhD, but a deep resume in industry before she came into academia. To my right, Gaynell Swan did her undergraduate at Tuskegee and her master's degree at Georgia Tech, and is an expert on systems engineering. Some 15 years ago, she and I worked together at Raytheon, where she was a first-class engineer and a 20-year resume in industry. To her right, Angie Foss, also an engineer, got her engineering degree from the University of Arizona in electrical engineering. So we have a staff and faculty that are committed to education. We've blurred the line between staff and faculty. And one of our slogans is everyone is a teacher and mentor. So our staff also teach. So those lines are blurred. It makes Gaynell's job challenging some days because she's trying to put together a spring schedule at the same time trying to teach a class. But when I look to my right and see Brian and Carolyn, we have a fabulous student body. About a 50-50 mix of transfers from Daniel Webster and new students. So it's going to an interesting mix in this transition time. And what we've tried to do is take the best of Daniel Webster and then take that and grow toward the future. Our long-term vision is to bring affordable, relevant engineering and aeronautical education to underserved populations worldwide. And that will key on the Southern New Hampshire's success in online. The first step is to build the resident engineering college. That we have done. But then we're going to focus on underserved populations. That starts with women. Only 14% of America's engineers are women. We will not continue as a great nation if we leave our intellectual capital on the sideline. And you can see from the representation here that our faculty and staff half women, half men. So that's the direction that we're going now. The trick, of course, is how do you build a pathway for young women now who are actively involved in all sorts of STEM activities, first robotics and whatnot, and then create a pathway to our university so they can see success in engineering and STEM-related futures. Certainly in minorities is an outreach objective for us. But there's another underserved population that people are not talking about much, and that is those students who come from resource underserved backgrounds. And I would argue that that is the middle class today, and that's part of the big debate in our society. Because you have young people, middle class young people whose parents face the reality of 30 years of stagnant wages. So part of our challenge here is to look for new models of education to drive the costs down. new partnerships with industry, and other ways of paying for college that are different from what you see as the norm. A huge focus of ours over the next year will be the partnerships with industry for many different reasons. The first is to understand industry needs, because we want a curriculum that is responsive to the needs of industry. The second is we want intimate relationships with industries so they're a part of our education process. And the third is that industry faces a unique challenge, because New Hampshire is rated about 7th in the country in terms of tech, but with a 2.4% unemployment rate, it's going to be very difficult to attract the kind of talent that we need to grow in the tech area. And our view is, let's grow that talent together rather than spending enormous sums of money to try to go out and recruit it. And we are going to present models of growing that talent at home, and we'll do that by partnering with industry in that process. We're going to challenge some of the traditional norms of engineering education. Everyone around the table has been in the business of creating. That's the essence of what engineering is. And why should that not be fun? So if you look at the first class that we taught was at 8 o'clock in the morning on the 6th of September. And 15 minutes after class started, they had taken over the hallway because they were doing a project and taken over. There is no reason why creative energy can't be fun. So our move is toward a design-based curriculum which brings a lot of different things together, working in teams, solving problems hands-on, because students today do not learn in a lecture hall. They learn by touching and by doing. So with that as a preamble, Libby, I'll turn it over to you to any questions that you might have, or for the entire staff.
Sure. So, Jim, I'll go back to you for the first question. We'll throw you the first one. Can you talk a little bit more about, I like what you said, you're challenging the norms of an engineering education. Do you have any examples of how we're doing that here, or what we hope to do in the future?
Well, if we taught music the way we traditionally teach engineering, your first year would be learning the theory of music. Your second year would be learning how notes fit together on a page. Your third year would be how do instruments fit together in an orchestra. And your fourth year, you would get to play. And nobody would ever major in music. So we think you have to play the first day you show up in class. And the whole design curriculum is oriented about being engaging. Now, instead of forcing math for 2.5 years before you actually do a project, let's do a project first, and then the students will see the next level of math that they need to do the next most sophisticated technical problem. And I don't want to say math sneak up on you, but that's essentially what you're doing, and you're understanding the relevance of it. That's what the design curriculum is oriented toward. I would submit to you as well that the focus of the college is not as a teaching college, where students come in, the professor gives them what they need to know, and they take a test and everything's done. We see ourselves as a learning college, where you come in and the time in class is the start of your learning experience. The rate of change of technology is such that our graduates, when they walk out of the door, can honestly say everything that I learned is obsolete in terms of the technology. So if you haven't learned to go out and learn things on your own, to work with contemporaries as well as professors, to solve problems, you're not going to be successful working in a company who needs you to manage change for the company. And oh, by the way, they're going to have to manage change for themselves. The idea of graduating and working for the man 40 years and then retiring is all out the window. So our graduates today are going to have to retool themselves at least a half a dozen times over the course of a career. So when you graduate from here, yeah, you may go work for a company, but you got to be thinking, how do I become an entrepreneur? How do I run a business? And if you have that good idea and then want to set up a company and nobody's taught you about accounts receivable, chances are you're not going to succeed. So all of those things. And if you look at the curriculum thought process, it's not just technical engineering, although that's really important. You got to learn the ethics, the commitment to the environment, the kinds of things that each of these graduating students will have to deal with in the real world.
So I'm going to open it up for our faculty staff, the combo role.
Push the.
Up or down?
Do I start all over again?
All that really so I'll open it up to our faculty staff for a quick question. So Jim just gave us a great setup of what you're doing here in the halls and in the classrooms and a little bit of everywhere, I guess. What are you most excited about when you think about kind of opening this new college? Or is there, so I guess what are you most excited about when you think about kind of big picture, the college, the students you're working with? But then if you have any projects or specific things you're excited about working on with your students this year, I'd love for you to share that as well. I don't know who wants to start us off, but you can pass the mic around.
Yeah, I guess for me,
You gotta wait till
Yeah.
as well.
so for me, to think, I mean, I can compare the previous environment and then current environment that we have right now. So big change is a resource, plentiful resources, and then their willingness to invest in the educations for this college, to running this college. So for instance, last year when we had to run some student project using VR, virtual reality headset projects, there was a computer in our previous institution that was not able to keep up with the software that needed to run the VR-related softwares. So now, I mean, as you might be able to see later on during the tour, that problems have been solved. And then not only that, but in many areas, the resource to do some, resources that needed to provide the education that to keep up with the current industry, I think we have those support here. And the other thing that personally that's really helpful or exciting to me is the idea of that, this college is for learning rather than teaching. So the line there is really thin. I mean, if you think about teaching is learning, but then again, it's really different focus. My focus in the past, initially when I started teaching, was really teaching, which made it really difficult for me personally because I had to put a lot of time preparing teaching, but then again, the students' learning was not where I was expecting. So when there's the whole school is now providing the support for this student learning as a primary goal, so for the faculty, we can try those things, having that goal in mind, and we can try other things, and also we are not afraid of not speaking too much in the classroom. So because when we have to do teaching, then that means it's more like we have to do certain lectures and provide information on certain skills and topics, but we get to think about other ways to deliver those messages, and actually, not in terms of giving the lecture, but in terms of how students are going to get that information materials, for their use. So have that kind of goal in mind and the support from the school. I think that's actually a great thing for me, for now. Okay.
Anyone else want to share anything they're really excited about?
excited.
Everybody's excited.
So I'm from China. I'm so amazed about the atmosphere and which CNU provided to CETA. I'm so proud of this because CETA is a new program for CNU, and in its engineering program, which CNU never launched. So from CETA leadership and the faculty, we aware about the weakness and the challenge for the new generation of the engineering culture. So we face-to-face discussion what we need to solve and what we will challenge in the future on our academic program. So not only my goal, my role is the Dean of Academic Program. So we work together to create a more attractive and more practical academic program, which will meet the requirement from industry and frontier technology as well. So which is very important for engineering student education. And also another opportunity, I think CNU and CETA provide me the opportunity to work with other schools, such as the School of Education, School of Science and Art, as well as School of the Business. So we work together across the disciplines, try to create a more broad academic program for our CETA engineering education. So it's CNU provide more space and more time to thinking and more resources to invest and to also more resources to educate our students, such as the increment for our CETA facility. And so, which is, we feel it's really, really nice to be one of the CNU. Okay.
So I'm really super excited. You know how you have those times in your life where you wish you had a do-over? For me, being the Associate Dean of Academics here at CETA is a do-better. And it's a do-better because I get to bring the experience that I had going through my engineering program and through my industry experience over 26 and a half years to our students here at CETA. The vision that we have to impact and increase the number of women, minorities, and underrepresented students and graduates in engineering lies deep in my heart because I cover all of those. I am that student. I am that person, and to be able to deliver a curriculum that's relevant and prepares them for industry now, not industry a decade ago, is so important. And that's what makes being here at CETA exciting. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer in engineering education. It's a game changer to be able to then graduate students that are going to shine so much brighter than any of my peers and contemporaries in my time. And that's what makes this opportunity so inspiring.
So I was guessing that Gaynell and I were going to have some similar thoughts because it is really exciting. I've mentioned a few times that CETA's mission to attract, retain, and set free out into the world a different type of engineer or an underrepresented group that we typically haven't seen in engineering is the most exciting thing to me about what we get to do, because it's not a side initiative. It's not something we do maybe once a year. It's a part of every decision we make. And it's so much fun because we get to take our experiences, our students' experiences, and we get to fold them into some of the decisions we make. And in my role, focusing on the labs and the environments and the innovations that we're going to look at with industry, I fuse that into all of those decisions as well. Mm-hmm. We want to be a welcoming, fun, safe place for students to come and create. And so I think for me, that's what makes it so exciting. And I love the people that I get to work with and the students.
So I'm going to ask a follow-up question before I turn over to our students here, because this question's a little bit about them. But several of you have kind of mentioned this in your comments, preparing our students for the world they're going to enter, the next step. When you look at our students, do you have any thoughts on kind of the next generation of engineers and what what's ahead for them? What are we looking at? What are you seeing in the classrooms as we look at what the need is going to be and the students we're preparing for that world? It's a big question, I know.
You want to go, Ron? Go ahead.
Well, thanks, Libby, for this question. Thanks for opening the subject, because first of all, I didn't want to talk about the first question because the excitement that I have will probably be hard to summarize in 2 to 3 minutes. But this one I can take a shot at. There are 2 different ways of approaching engineering and technology education. We can teach the students how to solve our experience about solving existing problem, or we can teach them about an approach that can be applied to any problem they will encounter. We have chosen the latter, okay? We're not going to teach them specifics, but we're going to teach them the approach that they need, and that approach is adaptable to the problems they encounter, because we really don't know what the problems they encounter. The other issues that we're dealing with is success for engineers, and all of us have that experience in the industry. It's not measured by how much you know, but by other factors, by the ability of the engineers to communicate, the ability to think in a systematic way, to have a system approach to the problem and not to isolate the problem. So this is basically what we're bringing to the table, a holistic approach that looks at the system in general, and an approach that's adaptable. And that's why we're calling our education here is the Lego of engineering, because we're looking at it like you take pieces, put them together to make something. And that's why you see the Tingram around in the building. Because this institute is all about bringing pieces that are different in nature and making something workable with them. And that's the education system, that's the approach we're taking at CETA.
I was going to say the one thing I would add is that I found with our incoming freshmen that they don't necessarily have the same rule book that we have. Their experiences, have been so different. They've had technology in many ways at an early age, or they've had different experiences because of the climate of our country or whatever. They've come in and they're breaking misconceptions out the gate with just the way they're designing simple tasks in our classrooms. So I'm really excited to see what they do with their perspectives.
Well, thank you both for your perspectives. I'm going to turn to our students, to this next generation of engineers, or both of you happen to be engineering students. Can you share a little bit about maybe some of your experiences you've had? I know we've only been here for a little over a month in classes here in this building. If you want to talk a little bit about projects, anything you're working on in class, a project that you're really excited about, something that you've done that you've enjoyed, or something you've kind of heard about the new way we're setting up learning, not teaching. So if you want to talk a little bit about some of the things you've experienced or what you're looking forward to as you look ahead in learning here at CETA.
Well, kind of the way I'd start that out is, we haven't had a lot of time to really experience this, and it's kind of been a whirlwind. The biggest thing that really sticks out to me in my mind is kind of materialistic, but it's really the facilities. Our old labs, we were stuck in a basement at Daniel-Webster actually, and the night before finals, and we had a squirrel in the labs actually. So it's a cool experience to come in here, getting actually quality materials to use, quality equipment, and just knowing that more is to come. Not necessarily in terms of materials all the time, but it's just that there's a future here. Things aren't falling apart, things aren't breaking down, and it's really great to see that there's a future that's going to be built on. So that's kind of my impression so far.
Yeah, so I would totally agree. I think technology-wise, it's amazing because we only had one lab that actually had 4 monitors, and now we have it seems like unlimited computers. So there's always somewhere that you can go. But I'm really excited about one of my professors always said that he could sit up there and lecture to you all class, but you wouldn't really be learning. Here, you're learning how to teach yourself. And I think I'm really excited about the technology. The lab spaces are amazing. I think that we're going to be able to utilize them more. And actually, in one of my classes right now in heat transfer, we're working on thermodynamics. We're working on a project for thermodynamics 1. So we get to create a project for students, incoming students, which is really interesting.
Great. So I don't know. We have a couple folks on joining us via live stream.
Libby, can I jump in just to say a few words about Brian and Carolyn, because they're representative of the students that we inherited. They didn't sit back and wait to see what was going to happen. Both of these young people took a leadership role in Daniel-Webster before it transitioned through the summer and now coming into this year. Brian's the head of our student advisory group. He's actively involved in connecting with students, with the faculty, and a passion for student voices. Carolyn was an RA at SNHU over the summer. She didn't wait for this building to be done before she got involved. And I mean, I couldn't be prouder of them because they didn't wait to see what was going to happen. They were strong voices in making it happen. So, and they're representative of the rest of the students that we've got.
Via the live stream, you can send in the questions via the chat feature. Yes, if you're joining us via the live stream, please feel free to send in your questions via our chat feature. We have a few folks here in the room. I don't know if you have any questions. I'm happy to keep asking them, but I want to open it up for you guys if you have any questions.
You're talking a lot about industry participation. I'm just curious where those relationships are at now, and if you have any direct coordination with companies in the area.
Yeah. So I'll just repeat it real quick because if you don't mind me. So she asked about industry participation and employer participation, and what we've done so far, and what we're hoping to do with this group. So okay, excellent.
Well, I will start. The effort over the last 6 months is really to outreach to industry to find out what the industry needs are in terms of our graduates. And what I've learned from them is traditional engineering measures knowledge. Industry needs skill. As chief engineering at a medical devices company told us, the engineering is easy. It's the people stuff that kicks us, which, of course, re-energizes us toward the design curriculum, working in groups and whatnot. Because what you find out is these young people, when they graduate and they move out into industry, especially New Hampshire, where the industrial base is small, medium enterprises, second, third tier suppliers, an engineer comes in with an assumed leadership role because he or she has got to solve the company's problems, which means they have a responsibility across the enterprise. Generally, industry brings graduates on and has to teach them that. So we want to produce a graduate who can step in that role. The next phase of that was to build our CETA advisory group. and we'll have some of those members here this afternoon, but we're starting with about 15 members that represent industry across the region and every discipline in the College of Engineering. The next phase is going to be an outreach over the next 6 months, a year, for specific engagements with specific companies. We already have one, but when we start talking design courses, particularly senior level capstone design courses, I would like them to be real problems for real industry. So industry partners come with a technical problem they need, and then we dedicate a half a dozen students and faculty focused on that problem. And if you can solve that problem, what we've found is that the two key correlators to a positive experience in engineering education is, one, is there a professor that takes an interest in your individual work? And two, have you done something that connects to the real world? And only 30% of engineering graduates nationwide can answer one of those questions to the affirmative. We want to answer both of those questions to the affirmative with all of our students. So that's the next phase of the industry outreach. And then I would like to talk to industry about a new concept of education, which, for lack of a better term, I'll call a dual study program. Whereas industry hires young people out of high school, entry-level jobs. Take whatever time you need, 6 months or a year, and decide if this is a person you see as having a long-term career in your company. If you do that, my part of the partnership is to bring the math. And I'll bring it online in a competency-based program where we can do an analysis of the individual's math capability. And based on that, offer online competency-based math. And at that point where you decide that that student is somebody, or that young person is someone that I see as a long-term employee here, then we enter them into a 4-year co-op program. Hybrid program, part of it online, part of it in residence, all toward driving the cost down, with a concentration based on your industry need, be it mechanical, aeronautical, mechatronics, optics, whatever your need is. And then in graduation, you look that young person in the eye and say, if you stay with me for 5 years, I'll pay down 1/5 of that over 5 years. And if I can get that cost down to a degree lower than it is now, that's less money than companies are paying to go out and recruit people to convince them to come here. So it would be a whole different concept, an intimate partnership with industry on raising the next generation of engineers.
One thing that I'd like to share about our industry partnerships and what we're shaping now is partnerships throughout the design sequence for all of our students, as well as developing multidisciplinary projects that a team of SNHU students from CETA and the School of Business and the School of Arts and Sciences could work on to solve that company's needs. It creates the opportunity for our students to understand what it takes to solve an industry problem, but it also gives them exposure to those companies for internship experiences and for part-time employment while they're matriculating. Most of our students are also working individuals. And so there's an opportunity to help build a continuous pipeline for those companies, and we're starting regionally, and we'll grow that as the college grows also.
So from the industry, the feedback from the industry, so the new engineering, there are kind of not enough knowledge on the manufacture processing, and less creative or design capability, and even the less communication skills and less teamwork. So focus on this weakness, and so we are CETA going to launch more CDIO model academic program, which is more to overcome, to face this challenge. And also we put our education vision up to next 10 or 20 years, the latest state-of-the-art technology. So we, with this mission, we're going to launch undergraduate research program, like the hottest area on biomimic robotics or unmanned aerial vehicle with the alternative powers, the clean energy systems, and as well as VR technology on medical training purpose. So those kind of technology will help our students put more hands-on and research training and communication inside of the teamwork. So that would be our goal to achieve.
Any other questions from the group? Do you have any questions on that? I can keep asking. I can fill time if we need.
Well, I guess one question is with the focus on the state workplace, is there any initiatives within the college to kind of keep this new highly trained workforce in the state, or do you feel like there's a hole in the market for that in New Hampshire?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our immediate region is really important to us. So on both ends of the pipeline, so those K through 12 students who are coming in, we really want to target them, support them. But we've been participating in a lot of things locally where we discuss these topics of stay, work, play, and where are our graduates going and what is attracting them here. I'm participating in the Manchester tech ecosystem and helping explore ways that we can create an environment that would be attractive to graduates, whether they're from New Hampshire or they move here to go to college. I think we have a lot to offer. I think there was a recent article sort of highlighting what makes Manchester pretty unique and New Hampshire in general. I can say I'm from Arizona. I didn't plan on living in New Hampshire for very long. And it's interesting, it's kind of contagious. And so we'd like to work with our partners and with the community to hopefully inspire similar thoughts. There's also opportunities for students to graduate and potentially go to grad school or move away and then return to New Hampshire. And those can be really beneficial opportunities for the state as well.
There was for a very long time a sense of loyalty between employee and employer, and that broke down in the 80s. As retirement plans went away, that migrated to KO1, 401k plans, and as industry lost its commitment to employees, or the perception, then employees were very quick to pick up and move. But then you start looking at data points out there, and you ask yourself, how do you start reconnecting? Because loyalty in and of itself is not a bad thing. Well, the first step of that is you encourage students to work, and a very high percentage of our students work. And I mean, the aviation curriculum is interesting because it's organized around the known work schedule of the students, which is kind of backwards. But we have students, so they do classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, knowing full well that they work in and around the airport all weekend. So they'll work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday's a day off. We find that students who have work experience come into class much more mature because they're looking for the application of the knowledge to real-world problems. So that connection of work is something that's, we think, very, very important. Now, the motivation for the connection with industry is to reestablish that bond between an employee and the industry partner. I don't know how that's going to pan out, except to say that if we here can partner with industry with different models of growing our own, then the likelihood is the more of them are going to stay and grow the high-tech industry here at home.
Should we talk about what type of jobs some of your students might have once they're finished with the program, and maybe also a little bit of the innovation that's going on in the industry, because it seems like there's a lot of opportunity in this sort of career field.
Once they get over their shyness.
I think it would be fun for the students to maybe answer where some of their peers, I don't know, you probably know a little better. I spent a lot of time with a group of our graduating seniors from this past year. Bo, you probably have some great examples. They got really cool jobs. Let me just start with that. They were also very smart, and they had some great projects that they had worked on. Aerospace industry. There was a couple who were going on to hopefully be pilots, which I thought was pretty interesting, going into military pursuits. As far as the innovations, through looking at where we're headed with our facilities and with some of these conversations that we've been having with partnerships, there's a lot of opportunity in a lot of different areas. Manufacturing came up as one. Additive manufacturing, manufacturing 4.0 is a big topic out there right now. As we've been sort of looking into potential equipment and facilities to house that kind of curriculum, it's been really exciting. I geek out quite a bit because it's a lot of fun, and I can only imagine what our students would do. So there's a lot of different directions. Additive manufacturing is the one that comes to mind, also because it's very relevant for here in the state. So I think that's a good one for us to explore quickly. We talked a bit about the unmanned aerial vehicles. There's a lot of opportunity there. We also have a lot of expertise in-house in that field. Do you want to add on?
Yeah. So really, we're shaping our curriculum with concentrations in areas that are really resounding with industry's needs. Robotics is a big area and a big concentration focus for us. We're talking with companies in the New England area that are experts in robotics to not only help us shape that curriculum, but again, to offer the opportunities for our students to solve problems that they have both on the product development side of the house as well as the operations and manufacturing of those, and then the sustainability of those types of systems. Bo mentioned VR, virtual reality, and augmented reality types of experiences and exposure for our students, working with the firms, the companies that are really leading edge in those opportunities to gain a foothold in what the needs are and what our curriculum enhancement should look like to be in lockstep with preparing the students to go to work. There are lots of opportunities too in high tech in New England. So when you look at aerospace and defense, you look at robotics, a lot of the manufacturing, and then of course we've got the Army initiative with Dean Kamen and the consortium of companies and institutions that are working with that. How can we partner and make those opportunities available for our students, as well as for a collaborative opportunity for CETA across our disciplines to shape what that future looks like here in New England?
And the only thing I would add is that, you know, we're small right now. We've got a great family and tight-knit community. And what makes it possible for us to explore so many different types of innovation are these courses we've mentioned, the design courses, and some of these project-based interdisciplinary work. So instead of doing it through a traditional lens where you would have a course in a very specific given topic, you might explore those topics through a project where many different students can come from a variety of different disciplines. So that's really exciting, and it means we can explore.
Yeah.
So I can say for computer science graduates, for computer science, last year the students who graduated went to Fidelity, for instance. There are 2 students went there, and then BAE, so Raytheon. And Valeo is a small company. Well, they have a branch here nearby, but it's not a small company. Actually, it's a German-based company which does a smart system on cars. So we have a number of students who went there who's been interning. So most of students start those jobs as an interns, and then those jobs oftentimes lead to their full-time position. And in the past, we had students who went to a hospital, and or EA, electronic arts, which makes the games, and National Security Center, even for those places. So number of places they go. And also we have students who are going to a graduate school like WPI and Boston College. So our goal for the computer science, for instance, after 4-year curriculum here is for them to get a entry-level software engineer position. And then so the ones who are making through the 4 years, they are so far they have really no problem getting jobs. I mean, one is that there's good market out there right now for the software engineers, and then we are getting really good feedback from those employers, and oftentimes they come back. We keep connections with them, and they come back and asking more students. So that's one of the ways that we also keep the industry advisory board. And going back to the previous questions, yeah. Did you have?
Just one thing to add. SNHU, Southern New Hampshire University, does a great job in supporting students in terms of career services. We have counselors resident here, and I think next month or this month we're going to have Career Expo and teaching the students how to write resumes, and will be opportunities to meet with potential employers from the region. So whatever we're doing here is in addition to what Southern New Hampshire University does, and I think the university has impeccable relation with the industry in the area. In addition to that, me as a professor, I mean, in my class, in the first lecture that I had, I asked the students to come to me, share with me their aspirations, what they would like to do, because I have relationship with the industry in this area and outside to guide them to see that. So career services here is wonderful. I don't think the students will need even more help. So.
Any other questions? I will kind of close us out, because we're getting close to our hour here, with one more question for the group, and similar to kind of our introductions. We'll go around the table real quick. So I just wanted to, as you think about kind of young people in New Hampshire and the New England region who might be thinking about pursuing something in STEM or engineering or something they might study here, what would you say to a young person thinking about entering this field now? I want to put our students on the spot, so we'll start over on that side.
Okay. Let me think about it.
She's regretting taking that seat.
No, I don't know. I mean, I have young children, not really young, but one of them just went to college, and one of them is a junior in high school. So, I mean, this is, you see this STEM a lot, right? It's a really big word these days. One of the things that, from my background, that I found when I came to this state, it's been almost 30 years now, and is the culture, or yeah, I think it's a culture that does not really value as much for this engineering education or math and science education, especially for like girls. And I don't know where it's all started, but I didn't have that when I grew up. So it was very well respected and encouraged from maybe from the even from the parents' generation. So I was encouraged to do that, and then valued while I was doing that, and I think that's very important. So for the generations who may not have that while they are growing up, I would say, I don't know. I wanted to say that it is if they, it's something that they should try, and that explore. I mean, I want them really to have a chance to explore, and despite of the maybe the culture, especially, that is not a cool thing, but it is a cool thing, and just be, pioneer, or take a courage on that. That's what I like to say. Yeah.
Well, my message to the young students in this area is to think about engineering and to think about CETA. And everything that they have learned that is kind of deterring them from considering engineering, I tell them that to just come take a look. We're breaking the mold. We're making new ways, new pathways to achieve that goal. And so all I ask, especially the young women, the female, the minority students who have been told that engineering is not in their future, I say, take a look at CETA. Come visit us. Come spend a day with us and see if you like it. Okay? Challenge us. If you think that economics doesn't work for you, you have a great partner in Southern New Hampshire University. The leadership at these great institutions are taking every step to make education accessible to the underrepresented. So challenge us. Let's see if we can find a way, okay, to find you a pathway toward engineering and technology education. So come visit us, spend some time here, and see how much fun engineering education is. We're not trying to make engineering education easy. It's challenging, and we're going to challenge you here. But you're going to learn a lot, you're going to be challenged, but you're going to have fun doing it.
So I would be more straightforward. So if you like city model and more fun engineering program, high quality academic program, so please join us, join CETA.
I know we've been doing it the whole time. So.
I would definitely say that, like, if you're interested in math or science, just do it, honestly. It's a little intimidating, it's a little scary, and it's okay to fail, because I feel like you learn more when you fail than if you succeed. But yeah, I would say just do it, experience. It's a really great experience, and it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of math and science. Or you change your major.
So what I would say is you gotta love what you do and what you're trying to do. And for me, I want to do aeronautical engineering, and I think this place really sets you up to succeed. All your professors, they love what they're doing. They've loved what they've done in industry, and they want to pass it on to you. Like any of them, if you ask them, you know, what they've done, they're more than happy to share. And it's really exciting because they can tell you what they've done in the past. We've got some professors that have worked on really amazing projects here, and they're bringing that into the classroom. You get to see it, and you can. And when you look at the industry now, you can see how quickly it's changing now. So you're going to get a complete different experience than even a lot of our professors. So that's what I'm really excited for. It's just you gotta love what you do and love the way everything's looking. It's kind of what it is.
These are hard to follow. I would just say that, you know, if you reflect, you probably have an engineer in you somewhere. I don't care who you are. If you design, if you're creative, if you're not creative and your stick figures are so perfect, you're also an engineer. You're into technology. Everybody's into technology nowadays. And so I think it's an option to explore regardless of your background and regardless of who you are. And there's so much future into it, or in it. It will not limit you in any way, and you will be so pleased and surprised to learn what you're made of, and we'll be here to support you. So that's my advice.
I love the explore, but I also would like to share with them to just, it sounds cliche-ish, but to think outside the box. I agree with Angie. There's an engineer in all of us. In CETA, we actually have 7 disciplines. So we have aeronautical, mechanical, and electrical engineering, computer science, construction management, aviation management, and air traffic management. And we're introducing aviation science. So there is an opportunity here for you somewhere. We have a technology core that incorporates and creates projects, and we ideate around math and science and engineering and technology, but in a real way, in a very relevant way. So explore the art of the possible, and don't be scared to try. Like Carolyn said, just do it. Don't be scared to try, because we're here. We're here for you.
Well, I'll just close by thanking you for coming today, and anybody that's here virtually, thank you for dialing in. I would just offer that as a young person, if somebody tells you that math is too hard, don't believe them. Math is a language. Just like notes on a paper is the language of music. So if you think that math is too hard, come talk to us. We've got an incredible math department that knows how to make math fun. We will make engineering enjoyable, and as Gautam says, fun. I'm surrounded by a group of people that fill my day with ideas. So every day is something new, something creative. That's the DNA of this college. So if you're a young person that dreams, that wants to create, that wants to build, and wants to get an education of how to do that so you can help us build a future for this country, this is the place to come talk to us. We're really excited about building a new college, and would look forward to your taking a moment to come visit with us. But again, thanks for joining us today.
So, as Jim said, thank you guys for joining us today. Thanks to those who joined us for the live stream. After this, we'll make some tours available if anyone wants to walk around the building, see some of the labs we have here. And if you want to take some time to talk to any of my colleagues around the table, or our students if they're willing, we welcome you to do so. Thank you all so much for helping us out today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Good job.